Okay, now we have page 385, numbers 5 and 7. We're dealing with the inverse cosine and the inverse tangent. So for number 5, we're asked to find the exact value of inverse cosine of 1/2. So again, we have to look on the restricted domain, which for cosine is from 0 to pi, and that would mean we're looking for a first quadrant angle since cosine is negative in the second quadrant. So we're looking for the angle whose cosine value is 1/2 in the first quadrant, and that is, of course, pi over 3. Now, for number 7, we're trying to find the exact value of inverse tangent of -1. And you want to remember that the restricted domain is negative pi over 2. Negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. And if the tangent is negative, that means one of the trig functions has to be negative and the other is positive. And that's going to happen in the fourth quadrant, where cosine is positive and sine is negative. So the value of this is not going to be 7 pi over 4, because remember, our domain is negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. So this would be an angle that satisfies those conditions. So 7 pi over 4 is equivalent to negative pi over 4. So those would be the two values that satisfy these two inverse trig functions.